we'll go most improved. I think this one, there's a few candidates involved here. You can make the claim for Jalen Brunson, guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Lauri Markkanen, obviously. He's the front runner for the award. And they've all been pretty productive in terms of the improvement they've shown from the season prior to this season. So, yeah, it's a tough one. And even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, you could make the claim that, yes, he obviously showed what he could do last year, and he's taken an incredible step, and, that could be considered most improved. But you could kind of see the progression with SGA. I feel like he was on his way to superstardom, and getting to that. Before. Correct. I remember going to the Clippers and Wizards in 2018 when he was first drafted. And he was coming off the bench. I actually bought an SGA jersey, and then within a year,
that's sick because it looks sick.
Yeah, because it was the City Edition one that had like the LA with like the speed lines. The one that like And I'm like,
that one's sick.
I was like, fuck yeah. So I got an SGA jersey, and then next minute he gets traded. PG and Kawhi come there. I'm like, oh, what the hell? But it's a cool throwback. If he ever does win an MVP in the future, it's like you got a throwback jersey from the LA Clippers.
100%.
So, going back to it, sorry. I went a bit off topic there.
No, it's fine.
So, the award here, it's pretty subjective. It depends on how you want to assess what you would consider most improved. And whether you think someone is so unexpected that they've made the jump, or could you, like I said, consider a guy like SGA as most improved. But we'll go with your award winner for this particular award, and I'm interested to see who you've picked.
Oh, me first?
Yeah.
Alright. So, my most improved player of the year, I went with Jalen Brunson.
Ooh.
Once you mentioned, you could go on the route of Shai Gilgeous. But, I just hate that about the NBA voting, I guess. The most improved player, it shouldn't go to guys like Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, who are just bound to break out. Everybody knows that, they're bound to break out in the superstardom. People don't expect, or maybe some people do, but the casual fan does not expect Jalen Brunson to come to this New York Knicks team, arguably the best Knicks team of the decade, largely because of Jalen Brunson. I just feel like so many people were questioning whether Jalen was the right fit for this Knicks team, but they were questioning whether he deserved the contract, and I think he's shown his worth every cent. He's been so good for them. He's almost averaging around 24-6, 6-6, and then last season he averaged 16-4. So he's taken what's that? That's a 8-point jump, and he's still giving you 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and on the defensive side of the ball, he's very important. And he was 100% to me the biggest All-Star snub. He probably deserved it, I reckon, over Julius Randle. And I know Julius, in his own right, he's an NBA star. He killed it yesterday. He had 50-something points. But I think Brunson coming in, he has more of an influence over the New York Knicks than Julius Randle. And so I think you could go on the route also, once again, of Lauri Markkanen, who's had just as big as a jump as Jalen Brunson. But the Knicks, as of when I made these picks, I don't know what they are now, but a couple of days ago they were 41-30, and the Jazz are fighting for the play-in. So I went with the route of the New York Knicks winning and how Brunson influences that over Lauri Markkanen and the Utah Jazz. So that's my pick.
I like the pick. I like the justification. But I don't agree with, not that I don't agree with it, but it's not my pick for the award. Fair.
You go on Markkanen, called it.
Yeah, I went with Lauri. And the reason being is, if you look at his previous year, he was basically almost out of the, I wouldn't say he's out of the rotation, but, where he was in his career, he's already 6 or 7 years in his career. I think where I sort of I guess justify why he gets it over Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson just got paid by the Knicks. Whether it had something to do with his dad being a coach, whatever it may be, and that played a part in them obviously paying him a bit extra. I think they sort of, by paying you that amount of money in a 4-year deal, you're kind of expected to perform and deliver. And I kind of think they expected him to maybe make that jump, especially in the playoffs. You saw what he did against the Jazz, where he dropped 40 points when Luka was out of that playoff series, and then he dropped another 30-odd before Luka came back. So I think they kind of knew what level Jalen Brunson could reach, if that makes sense. But for me, what surprised a lot of people about Lauri Markkanen was, again, he was only averaging 14 points last year, 14.6, and his efficiency was down. He was probably being played out of position. They were probably trying to play him as a small forward, where realistically he's a power forward. So that was impacting him. And again, I think because he was a high draft pick, and then he's fallen back down to a level where people are considering him a bust, considering him to be maybe not a bust as such, but not living up to the expectation of a 7th pick. Then to come back this year, not only to jump up your points per game by over 10, you're shooting splits. He's shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and he's just under, I think, probably around the 80% mark without looking at it. I'm guessing he would be around that mark for his 3 throws. He's nearly 50, 40, 90 on 25 points per game and 8 rebounds, and he's helped the Jazz team, who were initially in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, get into even a playoff, a play-in position, when realistically speaking, you could have thought that they might have been contending for the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft this year. So that's my justification for it. Again, it's just more so the fact that I think the ascension of Jalen Brunson in the playoffs last year and then getting that contract, kind of people predicted his come up, whereas Lauri Markkanen went from basically started from the bottom, and now he's here. You know what I mean? Quote Drake. But yeah, I mean, Drizzy Drake. Let's go. But you can literally make the argument for either of them. But I think for me, that's where the stronger justification comes in for Lauri, just on the basis, like I said, that of all the reasons that I just mentioned then. But it's probably a lot tighter than people make it out to be, especially with the record that the Knicks do have, and being that they're in the playoff hunt and they've probably secured themselves a playoff spot, unless something completely capitulates. But it's a line ball one, I think. There, it depends on who you're speaking to. And
can I play devil's advocate real quick for Brunson?
Go for it.
To be fair, they did pay him, but I genuinely think the Knicks paid Brunson because they're out of luck, because they don't get big names. Since Carmelo Anthony, they haven't really got anyone. They go after guys like KD, Kyrie, even guys in trades. You heard the Donovan Mitchell rumors, I'm sure, before he went to Cleveland. They tried their best to get him, but they're kind of forced to pay, I reckon, guys like Brunson, because they're not the team in New York at this point. And so I don't think they necessarily paid him and expected him to be this good. And I don't think the fans, maybe the fans did, I don't know, maybe they didn't, but I remember it was a bold thing when they signed Brunson. It was an argument. A lot of people were saying, does he deserve that contract? And you said, Markkanen was averaging 50, 40, 90. I'm looking here now, Brunson's shooting 58.7 from the field, 41% from the 3, and around 84 from the free throw line. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents in Brunson being the most improved player. But Lauri definitely has his case as well. If it's a 2-way tie, I'm not mad.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if they handed 2 trophies out like they've done for Rookie of the Year in the past. But for me, I think what cements Lauri's position is the fact that Julius Randle's taken a lot of attention away from Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Jalen Brunson hasn't been necessarily the first option. You look at a guy like Lauri Markkanen, he's come into that team and he's basically had to be the first option. So he's getting the toughest matchup on the defensive end every single night, because they know that, yes, they got guys like Taylor Horton-Tucker, and a few of the other guys that can put the ball in the bucket. But at the end of the day, they know that the number one target on the scouting report every single night for the opposition is Lauri Markkanen. So at the end of the day, that's my justification. That's your justification for Jalen Brunson. They're both reasonable arguments that can be made, and I guess we'll find out who ends up taking the award come closure of the season. So be interesting to find out.